Alright, one more video. What's up? This is Tom Burkart in the Porsche Panamera S. Got a car turning here, so a little... Woo, very nice. So, in the previous video we were comparing the Porsche Panamera S with the other really high-performance sports sedan that I got to drive as a press loaner last week, which is the 2014 Lexus ISF. Oh, excuse me. But how does the Porsche Panamera S compare with something like, let's say, the new M5 or the E63 AMG 4MATIC? Well, first off, I'd have to say that the Panamera is much more of like, it feels more like an analog experience than the latest M5. That's 100% sure. Despite the M5 being so fast and so amazingly grippy and really, you know, like heavy and intense and serious and really hard. The M5 to me felt more like it was like going for like GTR style lap times versus like real world luxury car excellence. Whereas, you know, just now I was thinking to myself, like, what does this Panamera remind me of most? And it's really like the answer to me is that it reminds me of the best car, you know, from I'd say like the 1990s to early 2000s luxury car generation, which was the BMW 750 IL. So that was with the car with the V8. Although the one, with the V12. Although the car with the V8 drove very, very similarly, the 740. And the way they drive is just this sort of like loping, like relaxed, but also like plugged in and very intense sort of feel. Like, you know, you could push the car really, really hard, and it would still be, you know, on the rear bumper of any like hardcore performance car. But at the same time, it doesn't lose its focus. I mean, it wants to be just a large luxury car that has just an extra dialed in level of performance. So, and in the comfort setting, the Porsche Panamera definitely, I mean, it rides really well with the air suspension. We got the Porsche Active Suspension Management in comfort right now, which raises the ride height and really smooths off a lot of the bumps on this little 2-lane road that we're on right now. Whereas with it in Sport and Sport Plus, on the suspension settings, you know, it lowers the car and it hunkers it down and it makes it feel, you know, it weights up the suspension, you know, all suspension responses as well as the steering. But it doesn't feel necessarily like it's like it does huge things for. I mean, of course, it definitely increases the body control and makes it much more wieldy and sort of and chuckable. And those Porsche Active Suspension Management settings are available distinct from the holistic Sport and Sport Plus settings, which are right here, and and do much of the same thing. But you know, that level of like adjustability and then having the suspension in a soft setting is what the hardcore like guys prefer for like a really rough track. But you know, for general life, I mean, the Panamera is really hard to beat. It doesn't ride as smoothly or as creamily as the ISF, even in its comfort mode. And to be honest, I don't know if it really sounds as good as the IS either. So let's. Woo. The PDK, I mean, is amazing. That's a real selling point. But the shifters are really not very intuitive to use. Not nearly as intuitive as the pedal shifters in the M5 or the E63. And it plainly doesn't feel quite as fast as the E63 AMG 4MATIC these days either, which is an absolute beast. I mean, it's like that car is like 3.6 to 3.8 seconds, you know, in that ballpark to 60 miles an hour without launch control. I mean, that's just foot on the floor, you're gone. I mean, you're just gone. The car is so fast. And that, of course, applies to the wagon as well. But the Porsche has a really distinct engine sound, whereas like the E63 AMG 4MATIC is all like exhaust. I mean, most of the sound, it's one of the best sounding cars ever made, but it's all exhaust. Whereas this car is the Panamera really feels like it's a lot more. It's more of the actual mechanical. You know, valve tapping and stuff like that in the engine. I mean, not in a bad way, but it's just more like, it's more mechanical. Whereas even the Lexus, Feels like it has an active intakes and as well as that big exhaust. So that car sounds amazing too. It sounds perhaps even better than the Panamera. But the one thing the Panamera has going for it is like a great level of authenticity, and that's not just from sharing a sports car badge with its siblings like the 911 and the Cayman or Boxer, but it really is just like it's like a holistic authenticity into the way it approaches being a performance car. Um, it just is, and that's an advantage for a lot of people. I mean, if you're buying a Porsche, you want that. You want it to sort of be gnarly at idle. You want it to fire up with like a little bit of a, like a which is how this car sort of like wakes up for its day. I mean, it's kind of like a beast. It's a giant beast of a car. So that's a great level of authenticity. That's definitely lacking in the M5. I mean, the M5, as we know, has like a synthesizer that creates a little bit of engine audio, like it creates the engine rev sound through the stereo system, which is really doesn't feel very which is just really saccharine versus like having like the real performance grit that you get in the Panamera. It's got to be difficult for the M5 to compete with, and I would wager that the car has lost a significant percent of its ideal buyer base to guys who are in the Panamera now. Of course, the cars are the Panamera is not cheap. It's very, very expensive, and even on the pre-owned and the secondhand market, it's a very, very expensive car. It's in demand, which pushes the prices way up. So even for this year, the prices are up even higher. There's a Turbo S in the Panamera line, as well as a Turbo S Executive, and those carry prices of $185,000. So at that point, I mean, that's a lot of money. But I would definitely say that in terms of the best luxury sports sedan, or not even, maybe just like luxury sports car on the market these days, is definitely the Porsche Panamera for all these reasons. It has a great level of adjustability from going into comfort mode. Obviously, we may as well be driving like the Lexus ES in front of us right now because it's so smooth and air sprung and really chill. But then you got the Sport Chrono that can time lap times, and we got the double clutch transmission right now that's happy to downshift and happy to be very obedient. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot how these worked. Except for these awful transmission paddles, that's got to be the worst part about it. But otherwise, I mean, this car is outstanding. It's so great. You should try to get your hands on one if you can. All right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks.